Hi everyone, and welcome to part 3 of our Virago build series. Now in this episode we're going to be moving my license plate. In one of the upcoming videos I'm actually going to be painting the bike, and when I do that I'm actually going to be cutting this rear fender down so it's a bit shorter and there's not going to be any place for the license plate. I also hate where the license plate is anyway, and I want to move it down to the side here. So let's get this license plate off. I think I can actually reuse the bracket that's there, and I will show you where I'm thinking about putting it. Okay, so we've got the license plate bracket off. Now, I'm just going to take this cover off because I'm not going to be using it anyway. To give you an idea, what I'm thinking is that we can actually just mount it to the guard, the chain guard cover here, and we could just mount it to there. And I've got a new light to put on because legally in New South Wales you have to have a license plate light. Now the only thing is that it does point up, and I would like it to point back more. So what I'm thinking is I could actually 3D print a couple of spaces that will space the bottom off just a little bit and the top up a little bit more to fill in the gap, and then I can pretty much just design it to print so that it is whatever angle I would like. Now one of the other reasons why I like the idea of putting it here is because I could actually run the wire for the light on the underside of the chain guard. It's going to get covered in oil and crap coming up off the chain, but really it's going to be heat shrinked and everything, and it's not going to bother it. So we could run that all the way along underneath the chain guard, come out the other end, come up behind, I don't know if you can see it if I turn the camera a little bit, come up behind this cover here, and then up under the seat, and we can wire it into its original location. You will never even see the wire. So it's a pretty simple fix, really. I was kind of anticipating I'd have to make a full bracket and everything. I think people usually would mount it on here with a bracket, but I like the idea of putting it on this chain guard. And it's simple to take off the chain guard. It's literally 3 bolts and we're done. And I'm going to paint the chain guard, paint the bracket, and make everything black as well, which will look good. I'm not going to put this cover back on because I think they're ugly. And yeah, let's get started on that. Alright, so we have our parts that we designed on the computer, currently 3D printing. You might actually be able to hear it behind me. And while we're waiting on that, we have some things we need to do to this original bracket. So this is our new LED number plate, license plate, number plate light. So we get this out. And this is pretty much going to mount just above the number plate, like this. So all I really need to do is drill 2 holes and it should just bolt in place. So we'll get going on that, and then we're also, once we have those holes drilled, I will paint the bracket. Alright, so we've got our 3D prints here now, and we've taken the chain guard off the bike. Now essentially I just want the bracket as far down as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some blue tack to hold these in place on the back of the bracket, so I can then transfer through where the holes need to be on the chain guard. Okay, so we now have everything we need to install the number plate bracket on the chain guard. Now with this bottom piece here, I actually discovered that it needed just a flat spacer. So I 3D printed a new one without the angle, and now that fits a lot better. And then the other thing I discovered is with the light on these holes that I drilled into the bracket, they interfere with these two holes here. I thought I could get around it by just trimming the bolt or something, but really it's not going to work. So what I did is 3D print a bracket for that, which will bolt on there, and the normal bolts are going to hold this to the chain guard, will hold that bracket in place, and then the light can just go in the top here, and that'll be perfect. So let's get this installed onto the chain guard, and then we'll come back and talk about wiring. Alright, so now we've got the number plate bracket attached to the chain guard, and we need to worry about wiring. Now I wish I thought about this beforehand, because I have to drill into my freshly painted chain guard now. But essentially what I want to do is I want to run the wiring, hopefully you can see it, along the top here, all the way along here, and then it will just pop out the end, which is behind a cover, and then come up and get wired into the bike. Now the way I'm going to attach the cabling is with these clips. So these are cable clips, they have a hole in them, so essentially you would screw that to somewhere, and that's going to hold the cable in this part here. So what I'm going to do is drill some holes in the top, along the top of here, probably 4, and then we can bolt on the clips like that. Don't know if you can see that on the camera. Bolt on the clips there and run the cabling along. That's going to hold it pretty tight. And again, we're going to use permanent thread locker to make sure that those nuts don't come off and hit my chain. So we'll get these put on, and then I don't think we actually need to run the cabling yet, because this is the wiring that I'll be using. If I take 2 of these, if this is bolted on, yeah, they'll easily slip through there. So we don't need to worry about having the wiring done yet. So we can get these put in place. I'll space them evenly, so at least it looks like it's supposed to be like that from factory. And again, using black hardware so that they blend in, and it will look like they're supposed to be there. So let's drill some holes in this freshly painted chain guard and get these installed. Then I'm going to run the wiring up into the bike and get it all working, get it mounted on the bike, and I'll check back with you after that. Well, there you go, all finished. I think it turned out pretty good. Looks a lot better than where it was before. I will quickly say though, a little bit of discretion if you decide to do this. It may not actually be completely legal in New South Wales, so check where you live. Being that the plate is sideways, I'm pretty sure is actually not allowed, but it's something that I'll just deal with. The light works as well, so at least I have a light, but I guess it depends on the cop you get on the day. So just discretion with that. If you do it, you may run into trouble, but you know, it's the risk that I'm willing to take. And it's not hard to unbolt it and bolt it back where it was if I have issues in the future. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it turns out. I think it looks a lot better. Cleans up this tail so much. Next episode on the Virago, we're going to be installing a garage door opener on the handlebars. Well, not a garage door opener, but a button to open my garage door. The garage door opener will be somewhere else. And quick little hack, but it will turn out pretty cool, I reckon. So come back and see if that works. It should work, but you know, things don't always go to plan, but we'll see. So I'll see you next time, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.